Greetings and welcome into the Sports Shuffle. I am Flying Ryan Gokers along with.
Tampa Motormouth Joel Verlin, who, just like Ryan, was absolutely stunned that the Bills lost. The Bills lost. Holy bleep, the Bills lost.
Oh no, the Bills lost. I'm so sad about it.
Well, it's not only that, but yeah, because I know because
I'm sad for my
you're,
pick,
because of
but
your divisional loyalty, so you were going, well, crap, my picks suck, but they lost.
yeah,
But
Josh Allen having a terrible fantasy night might have cost me the 1 seed in the Dynasty League, and that could come back to bite me. Could. I mean, still a whole week
uh,
to go.
yeah, because did you see the Grossi Thursday night thing?
No.
He's basically doing the Tim from Amazon Prime, and Josh Allen calls in saying, "Yeah, I'd like to order an offensive line, and you know what? I'd like to order some wide receivers too." And so then you have Grossi, who's being the rep, then talking, and then Grossi is being Jeff Bezos saying, the customer is always right. Give the customer whatever they want, and then finally realizing that this is basically moving human beings. Then the Grossi is the Bezos going, no, don't just hang the phone up, hang up, because Grossi being Josh Allen's like, well, I want some wide receivers too. Can you throw something in there? And then so Tim says, you might want to check with FIFA. They might be able to help you out. And then the final caller is David Mills. Yes, I'd like a neck pillow. It has to be extra long.
Yeah, it's always good videos.
Grossi is the real MVP.
Oh, he's the best.
Because
But yeah,
he's not only funny, he, even after all this time, one of the things that I have to give him credit for is he does not pimp any sponsors,
yeah,
and that takes guts. Serious.
and I know the way he does things. He makes his money how he has to make his money, and that's Patreon supporters and all that fun stuff. But he does good. He also does a lot for charity, which you got to respect. Anyways, let's go to the game. Texans do win this one 23 to
How about the
19.
Bills gets the hook and ladder, and they still effing lose.
Yeah, there was a missed extra point early in this game on the first touchdown, in fact.
You knew that
That
wasn't going to come
really
back
came
and bite
back.
him in the orifice later on.
Yeah, because they
You
could
knew.
easily kicked a field goal, went to overtime if they had that extra point, but they didn't. They lose by 4. The Texans are on a nice little heater. They are now 6-5. The Bills fall to 7-4. The
And
division
for
looks more and more unlikely for them to come back in as they're now 2 full games behind New England.
and for the Texans, it was like the Oprah meme: you get a sack, you get a sack, you get a sack. Everybody gets a snack. It's like the old Wang Chung tonight. Everyone have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight.
Yeah, Josh Allen, 24 of 34 for 253 yards, no touchdowns, 2
He did
interceptions,
not have
and
much fun last
no,
night.
and
He did not
8
Wang Chung tonight.
sacks. 8 sacks. It looked like he was messing with his hand a lot of that game. He took a bad shot early on. It seemed
And
like the feeling never, like probably a stinger of some kind, but never really felt back like he was in the game.
and you can tell, right? Because I think one of the offensive linemen for the Bills was seriously hurt towards the end of the game, and it was like sharks freaking circling in the water for the Texans defense because they're going done it, done it, done
Mhm.
it, done it, done it, done it, and they saw the hurt, and you knew it was another Sackaroonie coming, and you were going, man, somebody needs some Motrin or something stronger.
Yeah, rough night for Josh Allen. James Cook, though, with a good night, 17 for 116 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Did have 3 catches for
I think
13
they could
yards
have
through the
used
air.
Keon Coleman in there, maybe,
I mean, Khalil Shakir, 8 catches on 10 targets for 110 yards, did
especially with
pretty
that,
well.
especially the work he did with that hook and ladder. If you saw how many people he made miss him,
Yeah,
it's just like he's like doing a right, like a Mario jump, right, and they're
yeah,
like, okay, now you're gonna miss.
yeah. A really good play between him. I believe it was Josh Palmer that actually caught the pass and tossed it to him on a 4th and 27 to keep the drive alive. That they eventually turned the ball over to end the game. Davis Mills, 3-0 as a starter this year. His previous career high for wins in a
He
season
has
was
extended
3, and that's with 11 or more starts. So he's doing really well in relief of
he
CJ
has
Stroud.
extended his longevity in the NFL easy.
Yeah, he's definitely secured the backup role for the Texans for the foreseeable future. Not a stellar statistical night, but good enough to get the job done. 16 of 30 for 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. Was not picked off, was not sacked, and that was a big difference in this game. Woody Marks takes over the backfield, 16 carries for 74 yards. Nico Collins, the leading receiver for the Texans, 3 catches for 55 yards. A little disappointing, as Higgins and Kirk both with touchdown receptions in this game.
As a see Bucks what a defense can do. And
Yeah,
I
Houston is now only a half game behind Jacksonville for second in that division. They're not dead yet, and they do have, I think, both games against the Colts still to come. So maybe that division is still in play, and that defense looks absolutely terrifying.
yeah, and you knew the fraudulent memes were coming. Potential frauds for the Bills after this game, and once again, it brings up the question of that rocket super start that they ended up
Yeah.
having. That all of a sudden, man, Bills are world beaters. They're doing good things, and then who have they beaten? That's the question. Once again, you have to ask after that game. That it was such a bad game. You even had a referee tear their Achilles, and the
Yeah.
referee had to leave. I mean, that's how crazy a game this was because the game was started. I think the general expectation was it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be ugly. It's going to not have a lot of scoring. It's going to be kind of a slog. And it turned out to be a game that you stayed up literally until the last play. And even if you need the sleep and nappy time today, it was well worth it because that's the best Thursday game we've had in quite a while.
Yeah, it
It was
is.
the best prime time game we've had in quite a while, actually.
And to go back to the fraud allegations for the Bills, they started 4-0, beating the Ravens week 1. We assumed that's a great win. Beating the Jets, you knew that was a bad team. Beating the Dolphins, you thought that was a bad team. And then the Saints, who we know is a bad team. Then losses
This,
to the Patriots, the Falcons inexplicably. They beat the Carolina Panthers that had
I'm
Andy
still trying to
Dalton at
figure out how the
quarterback.
Falcons flip and beat them because that is still just a you're going.
Yeah. The Panthers with Andy Dalton didn't put up a good fight. And then beating the Chiefs at home, but beating the Chiefs as they do in the regular season. Then losing to the Dolphins, beating your Bucks, which now looks kind of ridiculous, and losing now to the Texans.
Yeah, because
Steelers,
once
Bengals,
again,
Patriots on
Texas
deck.
showed if you have a defense, you can stop them, and they stopped them. They stopped them freaking cold. The Bucks
Yeah.
just looked lost on defense.
I'll say this: the Bills look like they have their weakest team in the last 5 or 6 years right now. Their defense cannot stop a nosebleed, let alone a running game that's got any semblance of competence. I mean, we've talked about the Texans' offensive line for years being bad, and they were opening up lanes that made Nick Chubb and Woody Marks look like Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, and it wasn't even close. And the fact that you lost to a backup quarterback who's never had great success in the NFL behind a team that doesn't have the best offensive weapons, and you let them go up and down the field on you, and then you get your butts kicked by their defense, it's a really, really bad look.
Mm.
Obviously, they're going to have plenty of time to rebound. They're still in the playoff picture right now. They're still in the playoffs as of right now, I should say. But
Yeah, I've got
it's
more
scary.
on the Bills in one of my two final thoughts. I've got more. I've got more.
Yeah, I don't think Buffalo needs to worry about missing the playoffs, even though they're only in by about a game right now. And now one of the teams in the rearview mirror has a win on them in the Houston Texans. It's going to be interesting for Buffalo. But for the Texans, you got to say they're stepping up. We thought they were going to be left for dead early on. They couldn't get anything going. And all of a sudden, this team they look like a contender, at least in that mediocre AFC that we seem to be having this year, where everybody's kind of in. I mean, you look at the Broncos, you look at the Patriots, you look at the teams at the top. Who have they really beaten? You look at the teams that are slightly outside of it. Go down to like Miami in the standings and above. It's like, oh well, the Chiefs. Do you have a lot of confidence in the Chiefs right now? Do you have a lot of confidence in the Broncos right now because of how they play. And
Boy,
I think the difference between the two is not that much. So fairly middle of the pack AFC this year, but Buffalo drops another one, and yeah,
the
they'll
Broncos have
have
to
to
be one
recover.
of the ugliest successful teams right now in the National Football League.
Yeah. So let's go to some of the injury news. Of course, being Friday, we're getting some official ruled in, ruled out
No,
designation.
no Bucky Irving again.
No Bucky Irving, but is trending to play against the Cardinals. So that is at least some good news. No surprise here. Drake London will be out for the Falcons. Did have that PCL sprain last week. Not
And
a big surprise he's going to miss this one.
did you see Josh Jacobs piling on to MetLife Stadium?
Oh, I didn't see that, but that does not surprise me.
Yeah, he has quote, definitely the worst, always been the worst. I know if I ever play there again, I will never talk about it because I talked about it all week, how bad it was, and it bit me in the
I mean,
mm.
he got a knee bruise. I don't know if that's MetLife, but anyways, Drake London, like I said, out. Isaiah Pacheco will also be out. For deeper players, Alec Iamaner is going to be missing this week's game. Ken Walker with a glute injury is a late addition to the injury report. He is questionable for this week. Brian Thomas Jr. has also been ruled out with Rashad Bateman. That's the biggest one so far.
Bengals seem to be going back and forth about Burrow.
Yeah, no decision has been made on, I believe, if he's even going to be active, let alone if he's going to start. So let me see if I can find that news from earlier today. Probably can't because it is buried in notifications. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Joe Burrow. Let me see if I can find another way. If he plays that New England game becomes a lot more interesting of a pick in my mind. I'm going to bet right now that he misses the game. But let's see. Limited Friday questionable for Sunday. And that is pretty much all we've got. So,
It sure seems like Aaron Rodgers is determined to play in because of how much fun he has in Chicago.
yeah, he's going to play in that one. I haven't seen that officially made official, but I'm pretty sure he's going to play. Let me see
And
about.
did you see the Joe Mixon stuff? As you had, it was either Rappaport or Scheffner who was talking about that he is probably not going to come back this year, and then Mixon apparently got on social media and says, "How do you know something in the order of effect of how do you know me that well?" or something to that effect? And you're kind of going, "Huh?"
Yeah, NFL.com's Ian Rappaport reported that Mixon is not expected to return the season, prompting the running back to clap back. Now, I get everyone's looking for splash news and clickbait, but I'm just curious, Ian. How do you know more about me than me? So I guess that means he's possibly not done for the season. I mean, we are in week 12 and he has yet to see the practice field one time. So I think I would be leaning the way Ian Rappaport is reporting, but it's he could be getting something from the team as well. But if Joe Mixon comes back for this Texans team, I think they take off because while Woody Marks has been good, a healthy Joe Mixon is still, I think, a little bit better. And then obviously that means
I
Nick Chubb
think
probably
you
to the bench.
definitely have to have this as a serious long shot. Wait, so no, this is something long shot. So you're telling me there's a chance, kind of
Yeah, for
deal.
those of us who play fantasy, I don't think you're rushing to pick up Joe Mixon because he clapped back at Ian Rappaport.
Yeah, and also sad news for the Detroit Lions. Sounds like Sam Laporta,
Yeah,
Dunzo for the season, major
with back
bummeroo.
surgery. Back surgery is not a good thing, obviously. If you don't know what the spine really is, to simplify it, is the nerve center of your body, the highway of nerves that go up and down your entire body. Maybe this is because we live in Florida and there are a lot of older people who've had back surgery that at an older age. But back surgeries can go poorly. I don't think Sam Laporta did, obviously. But back surgeries, they can have lingering effects that you're not expecting. Hopefully, that's not the case here. I don't think it'll be the case, but it is worth mentioning back surgeries, they're nasty. They're not fun.
And I saw the Jets player Chris Boyd is apparently stable and doing better after all that craziness.
Yeah, we really didn't talk much about that, mostly because it was a Jets defensive player. but yeah, he is doing all right. That's good news. It's obviously what we hope for when we hear players are in bad shape one way or another. Um, Not going to come back and help the Jets anytime soon. Not much help from the Jets, anyways. But good news that he is at least on the mend.
And there's still, I don't think they were able to find a motive or who's responsible. And I think they're still looking, but that's kind of crazy with how all that played out.
Yeah. Well, more information to come on that if they can figure anything out. But that'll take some time. All right. Let's go to the picks. Try
And
not to have this be an hour and a half.
I have the lines all ready.
Yeah, I've had a raging headache all day, and
Ooh.
it's been. I know it's my own fault because I watched the entirety of that football game last night, and then watched the third period overtime and shootout of the
Oh,
Sharks Kings game.
I didn't go quite as far as you did.
Sharks won in the shootout 4-3. So good news for them. Obviously, me being a
And knowing
Bruins
when
guy.
the Sharks start, you had a very late night.
Yeah, I mean, you're already up till midnight watching Sunday Night Football. I don't usually wind down, but the Sharks, at about the quarter mark of the season, are 4 points out of first place in the division, which I'll take it. That's a step in the right
Something
direction.
something told me to not do winners and losers this week. Something told me so.
All right. So let's go to the games. First one Jets at Baltimore. The Jets
Speaking
are
of
turning.
the Jets, it's going to be
Speaking of winners and losers in this one,
the
um,
Tyrod Taylor era, beginning as Justin Fields for now is done.
yeah, and the switch to Tyrod Taylor, you got to think that's going to, at least in the eyes of Vegas, skew some of the numbers. So, what are they projecting for this game?
Minus 13.5 for the Ravens. Not much of a surprise there. $10 favorite. Oh boy, over and under 44.5.
This is one of those games where if you're picking the spread, it's hard to give up 13 and a half, but I don't know how you do it. But anyways, for the Jets, it's Brees Hall and Mason Taylor on a desperation tight end play. Probably not worth doing. For the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, both in your lineup. Mark Andrews has been very, very good. He can be in your lineup as well. And then this could be even as good as a game for Zay Flowers. No Rashad Bateman should open up things for the passing offense. The Jets, their defense is bad. Their offense is bad. The Ravens look like they're rolling. I'm sure you're taking Baltimore. I'm curious what you feel is going to happen in relation to that spread more than the pick of Baltimore, which I know is coming.
But yeah, Ravens are in playoff mode right now. Lamar Jackson better than Tyrod Taylor any day of the week.
Lamar
Even,
Jackson left-handed is better than Tyrod Taylor with his dominant hand.
even if the Ravens defense is finally looking like a solid unit, Jets have many missing pieces. And this may be over by the third quarter, as the King is better than the Hall by any stretching the imagination. I'm not crazy. I'm picking Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens not going to be close. If you have Derrick Henry, you've got to hope this is one of his biggest games of the year against a bad defense in a positive game script for him. The real question is, can the Jets cover? I don't think they do. I don't know if it stays within 30 points. This game might be over by halftime, if not early in the third. And we move on to a game that looks like it'll be a little more competitive than the first one. Pittsburgh at Chicago.
And you're definitely right because the line 2.5, just 2.5, and the Bears
The
are
home team. That makes
the,
sense.
the Bears are surprisingly the favorites. Buck 45 over and under 45.5.
Yeah, home team less than a field goal favorite means this is essentially two even teams in their eyes. Usually home field's worth about 3 points, so there you go. For Pittsburgh, I'm going to try and get an update on Jalen Warren, but if he's playing, he's going to be in your lineup. If not, it will have to be Kenny Gainwell. The running game for the Steelers offense has been too good to not play. And then we are also waiting on the official word of Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure he's going to play. Jalen Warren is cleared from the injury report, so he will play. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is a great play, but he could be a desperation streaming option for those of you dealing with bye weeks this week. Maybe you've been somehow riding with Tua or one of the other teams on bye. I'm not 100% sure. DK Metcalf, God, it's just been so mediocre He's probably too good to bench. I don't think you have a better option on most people's teams. And then you can always look at Freiermuth and Johnny Smith as desperation tight end plays. For the Bears,
The
Roma
Bears.
Doomsday is the only must start, in my opinion, in this game. Caleb Williams. Pittsburgh's defense has been hot and cold, a little more hot lately, so I don't know if it's a great matchup for him. DeAndre Swift has been good. He's probably the next most likely must play for most people. And then you've got Colston Loveland, you've got DJ Moore, you've got Luther Burden. All is really sketchy plays, but there are options in deeper leagues or with people on bye weeks, or you had Sam Laporta. And all of a sudden you need a tight end. Colston Loveland might be sitting out on your waivers. This is a big game. Chicago 7-3, Pittsburgh 6-4. Pittsburgh has the Ravens breathing down their neck. Chicago, the entire division's not that far back, and one game from first to third right now. Both teams must win situation. The Bears have improved, but this is a step up in their level of competition. Joel, who do you got?
Aaron Rodgers on. If there is an ideal incentive to play this week, since it's the Bears in Chicago, team said that he owns, quote, there's incentive for every opponent, but I have enjoyed many a Sunday and Monday and Thursdays in that city. So you're looking at the picking, and the picking Ryan depends on the QB for the Steelers. If it's Rodgers, you smash Steelers. If it's not, you smash Bears. And Rodgers' record against the Bears supersedes the Steelers' historical performance at Soldier Field. I'm gonna go with you. I think Rodgers is gonna play. I'm picking the Steelers.
Yeah, Rodgers is officially questionable. We'll see where the weekend leads us, is what Tomlin said. Small fracture. It is it is a safety thing, not just pain tolerance. But if they can get that safe, he will likely play. I don't think it matters who plays. I'm taking Pittsburgh either way. I think they have too much talent on the defensive side of the ball to be able to shut down the Bears. And then that offense looked, I mean, given it was against Cincinnati, but with Mason Rudolph, he's been in that system for a long time. He should be good enough to get him over the hump. But if Rodgers plays, I think it's a much less competitive game. But I'm taking Pittsburgh either way. Um, we'll see
Just
what.
this red uncertainty is probably because Vegas is not 100% sure that it's a lock that Rodgers plays right now.
I think if Vegas thought Rudolph was playing, it'd be a larger spread in favor of the Bears. I do. So I think Vegas is banking on Aaron Rodgers playing. Moving on to New England at Cincinnati. This one,
Line for this one, Patriots the favorite, not surprisingly at all, minus 6.5. Buck 310, $3.10, and over and under 51.5.
yeah, and this, I think this line, because I think it would have been about 4.5 if it was Joe Burrow playing for sure. I think it would have been closer to 10 if it was Joe Flacco. So I think this line is saying they don't know who's going to start. They're not making an assumption, but they got to put a line out there. So about a touchdown favor for the Patriots makes sense. For the Bengals, if Joe Burrow plays, you play Joe Burrow. You can still play Joe Flacco if he does. If he is the starter, the Patriots are a run dominant defense. You can throw on them though if you need to. So T. Higgins, in the absence of Jamar Chase, is an absolute smash play, and Chase Brown should get enough work in the passing game to make it worthwhile. But again, the Patriots are good against the run. Keep an eye on Andre Yoshivas, the number 3 wide receiver for the Bengals
Always a play
most
when Jamar
weeks.
Chase is away.
Yeah, most weeks, but when he has to step up because Higgins or Chase is out, he does tend to step up, get enough targets to be at least viable, and then keep an eye on someone like a Noah Fant at the tight end position
You have
if you're
like 2 or 3 weeks during the fantasy year when he's relevant,
Yeah.
basically.
Then for the Patriots, I'm going to get an update on Ramondre Stevenson before we give advice on Henderson. But Drake May has been an MVP candidate, so you've got to keep him in your lineup if you got him. Ramondre Stevenson is still listed as questionable with limited participation. Wednesday and Thursday, full participant, and Friday says he is trending back towards action. I still think Henderson's the one you want. This is you probably both of them. Cincinnati's got a terrible defense, and the big play potential for Henderson, if he gets enough work, which after the last 2 weeks of being dominant, he should get plenty of work, even if Stevenson is back. He's likely the running back you want. Hunter Henry is always a tight end option, and then Stephon Diggs, Keyshawn Boutte in the wide receiver
Hunter
Hard to go
Henry's
wrong.
been kind of silent in fantasy recently, though. He really hasn't been a solid play.
I mean, he's one of those guys that if you have someone on bye, you have someone like Laporta that goes down. He's
Or
always there. He's always got the potential of having a good game, popping up with 2 touchdowns. He's just that kind of guy, but he will disappear at times as well. New England, a big favorite on towards the top of the AFC. Cincinnati just trying to stay alive. Home game. Joe Burrow either back or on the horizon. Who do you got?
all the talk is about Burrow and Spitgate 2.0, but I really think the Bengals' lack of a defense is the main focus of this game. Hoping for a nice day from May and Diggs, even with the recent reveal of a fractured finger, apparently, that Diggs has been dealing with. Mash that over, as I think this is the kind of bad boy goes to at least high into the 30s, maybe even higher. I'm picking Pats to do it again.
What was the over under on this one?
Over under on this one was 51.5.
I think it's still going to hit the over because New England's got a solid offense, and the Bengals have been pretty good offensively, assuming the weather's not going to be bad. But I'm taking New England as well, with or without Joe Burrow. I think New England's too good. With Joe Burrow, I think this gets to be one of those where the Patriots might have to score 40 to win, but this Bengals defense could go up 42, me and you, on a good day. So I'm going to take the Patriots as well, and we're going to move on to the next game. Jackson Dart has been ruled out for this one. So it will be Jameis Winston once again for
Jameis
the
Winston
Giants
experience will be
going
coming once again to the big, no, not the Big Apple, but to
to the Motor
Ford
City.
Field.
Now, I know this game opened as a 10.5 point favorite for the Lions. What is it now with the news that Jameis Winston will be starting?
12.5.
So it's a 2 point
2.5
swing.
more points.
Yeah, 2 point swing in favor of the Lions with Jackson Dart being out. Not a surprise. Go ahead to the rest of the numbers.
$6.50 money line over and under at 50.5.
Yeah, for the Giants, Wandale Robinson, Theo Johnson, and either of those running backs, I don't think are great starts this week, but they are at least options. But really, it's Wandale, it's Robinson, Theo Johnson. Wandale Robinson's the same person. And then Sterling Shepard, if he plays, could be interesting here. For the Lions, if you've got him, you can fire him off in this one. Gibbs, Laporta is out. But Gibbs, because Laporta is out, I think Jameson Williams becomes a much, much more of a must-start player. Amon-Ra St. Brown, David Montgomery, and Jared Goff all in your lineup. The Giants defense is an absolute sieve, and Detroit does really, really well coming off of losses, and they just lost to the Philadelphia Eagles on a windy, not so great night. Back in the dome, back at home, you got to think the Lions are looking to vent some frustration, but the Giants with Jameis last week were scrappy against the Green Bay Packers. They've been scrappy all season long. Can they make this one a little closer than the Lions would like it to be?
Lions are not getting closer to 500. Sorry, Ryan. I just don't see that happening. Giants getting all the wrong headlines for all the wrong reasons. I just think this is the game that the Lions really, really need right now. Jameis always makes it interesting, makes it scrappy, as you said, but Lions are not the Packers, and it is definitely challenging the Giants to see them keeping pace with an offense and even missing a weapon with unfortunately Laporta now done for the season, but still you have Laporta, like you mentioned, Jameson Williams can easily slide into that slot and fill that with ease, just as long as he doesn't do the goalpost celebration thing and get them another penalty. They get nothing from those on their own. Yeah, so many weapons, so many choices, even without Laporta. I'm going Lions all the way. But yeah, you might. The only play of the Giants, you kind of have to wonder if they're going to be able to keep against the spread. But yeah, you're picking Lions, especially at home, especially indoor golf, better than outdoor golf.
Yeah, Detroit should roll in this one. I don't think the Giants can keep serve in the offensive side of the ball. James Winston's going to have one too many turnovers to make this too competitive. I think it's a pretty easy Detroit win. Moving on to an interesting game, a big game for both sides. The Minnesota Vikings going to Green Bay to play the Packers. The Packers 6-3-1, but have definitely got the fraud label for when they've played and lost. The Vikings have a problem with their quarterback being an absolute psychopath and thinking he's got an alter ego. Joel, what's the line of this one?
Lines for this one should be -9. It really should be, but no, it's -6.5, -290, and over and under 41.5. Packers, not surprisingly, the favorite.
Yeah, not surprisingly, the favorite here. If Josh Jacob plays for the Packers, you're going to play him. If not, Emmanuel Wilson becomes interesting. The Vikings do have a good run defense, though. Um, Man, this is a hard one to suggest anybody for fantasy. I mean, Christian Watson has been red hot for the Packers in the receiving game. He's probably your best
Hey,
bet.
hey, how
If
about
it's
Jordan Mason? Yeah, yeah,
He's been bad. But for the Packers, I think Christian Watson's about it. We got to keep an eye on Romeo Dobbs with the health, and everybody else just kind of in a jumble right now. For the Vikings, it's hard to bench Justin Jefferson,
in
but
the jungle, the
it, it,
mighty
it might be
jungle, where
worth
your
benching him.
often sleeps tonight.
And then Jordan Addison is a depth play. He's not great with J.J. McCarthy, but it is what it is. And then Aaron Jones is the running back for the Vikings you would want. Jordan Mason, unless Jones goes down, he seems to just be an afterthought at this point. Green Bay at home. Green Bay only a half game out of first in that division. Who do you got?
Yeah, how about Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy, Ryan, believing that his leap is coming. A cork is about to come off the bottle. Yeah, I think a 9 should actually probably put a cork in it, as neither team really at this point known if they're good. Because the Vikings, you don't know if they're good, they're bad. Packers, they've seen bits and pieces of being good, but you still don't know if they're good or bad. When I'm rolling with the Packers and their defense, because their quarterback does not have a stupid secondary personality based on their jersey. Number 9 will be the number of losses before wins for the Vikings, and I think the Packers get an ugly win here. It's one of those games you don't have a lot of confidence in your pick, but I think the Packers have the more mentally stable quarterback.
I think they have the more talented quarterback, the more talented team as a whole. I'm taking the Packers as well. Yes, having a somewhat mentally unstable quarterback can work in your favor at times, but I don't think it will against a good defense. I think Micah Parsons in that pass rush gets home early and often and hopefully knocks some sense into J.J. McCarthy. Next up, this might be the most interesting game of the week. I think when we talk Tampa Bay, LA Rams, that's going to be the best game of the week. But Indianapolis at Kansas City, you've got a Colts team that, even though they're 8-2, even though they're leading that division, they don't get the same level of belief that you're getting in someone like the New England Patriots or even the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to find a way to turn it around. Kansas City's 5-5. They're struggling for their playoff lives, facing one of the top teams in the AFC. So, what do the odds makers have for this one?
And even though they're 5-5 and struggling right now, Ryan, the Chiefs somehow mind-bogglingly are the -3.5 favorites at home, minus buck 80 and over and under of 50.5.
That's fairly interesting. I understand the logic behind it. We'll talk through it. For the Colts, you're going to play Jonathan Taylor. If you bench him, you're an idiot. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's honest. Tyler Warren at the tight end position and Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman in the wide receiver, uh, room. That's they've been pretty good all year long. You got to keep those guys in your lineup. For the Chiefs, no Isaiah Pacheco, so it's going to be Kareem Hunt leading the backfield. He got touchdown upside down there. Patrick Mahomes, while he's been good, hasn't been elite the last few weeks. Rasheed Rice, though, coming back sure has helped things. Travis Kelce is the quietest tight end 2 on the season I can ever remember, even though he is Travis Kelce. And yeah, I think that's the end of the list. Maybe Xavier Worthy if you're very, very desperate. The theory here is that the Kansas City defense can do to Daniel Jones what the Rams defense just did to Sam Darnold, make him look like he did when he was back in New York. That is the logic behind Kansas City being favored. Do you buy that logic? And are you taking the Chiefs or are you taking the better record team to upset the Chiefs?
When I initially made my pick, I went Chiefs, but then I audibled and I flipped to the Colts because I'm stunned that the Chiefs are the favorites. I get Arrowhead, but the Chiefs are losing the close games this year that they won last year. All the BS wins that you're trying to figure out how did they win that game, and they did. That just the BS factor isn't translating over to 2025 that you had in 2024. And they are not the team they were last year. Week 12, and there is legit talk of them potentially missing the playoffs this year. The Chiefs, if you pick the Chiefs, you are banking on them being able to stop Jonathan Taylor. And after last week, I just cannot buy into the Colts being able to be stopped in that manner. I think the Chiefs slow him down. I think he may not have as good as a time as he had recently, but I think Taylor and Daniel Jones together are enough to push the Chiefs even closer to the abyss. I'm picking the Colts.
Yeah, I'm taking the Colts as well. And if we look ahead to the rest of the Chiefs' schedule while I'm thinking about it, Colts this week, Cowboys next week on Thanksgiving, so a short week going into Dallas. And Dallas tends to step up in those Thanksgiving games. We'll see. Then the Texans, who we just saw beat the Bills. The
Hey,
Chargers, who are a
both
solid
on
team.
Thanksgiving. That never happens.
Yeah. Chargers, who have already beaten the Chiefs once this season. Then the Titans and the Broncos, who have already beaten the Chiefs once this season. So I think they've got 4 or 5 tough games the rest of the way. They really need to try and win out. If they lose one, they'll probably still get in the playoffs. But I don't know if 10-7 gets it done. So they're gonna be on that razor's edge. But we're both taking the Colts this week. I think Jonathan Taylor gets going. Jonathan Taylor's one of those things. If you can stop him, you can shut down this Colts offense. But he is very hard to stop, and I don't think they get it done this week.
Jonathan Taylor's theme song is definitely "Don't Stop Me Now." He's having a good time.
Oh yeah. Next up, Seattle at Tennessee. Seattle looks like one of the best teams in football. Tennessee, we
Not
ass.
so much.
Yeah,
Ready,
we
ready.
ass, and how bad are they ass?
Yeah, that would be Seahawks are the favorite. Hey, hey, could you have seen this coming only from about 5 jillion miles away? Minus 13.5, $8.50 favorites. Over and under of 39.5 problem because the Titans are ass.
Yeah, the Titans are real bad. You don't play anybody from the Titans. Nice, easy. Don't think about it. Don't consider it. You just don't. If you're extremely desperate, I'm sorry.
One of the fab pickups from a couple weeks ago now has a hammy.
Yeah,
Eric Iomar, I believe. Yeah, I'm saying I'm like
I man. Yeah, he's out.
yeah,
He's
'cause I'm
out
like
this week.
he
So
was a fab. He was one of those you gotta dig deep and get some of your fab out and pick this guy up. And I'm going, he was a fab wonder. Now you probably wonder why you picked him up.
yeah, I mean injuries happen. It's become the Shimray DK, but I think he's out as well, or possibly
Yeah, I
out.
think I saw. Yeah, he's definitely out. One of the more fun names to try to say.
Yeah, for the Seahawks, JSN's in your lineup. I think this could be a get right week for Sam Darnold. If Ken Walker plays, it's a good week for him. But if not, Charbonnet should be massive. And AJ Barnett tight end could be interesting. I don't think you need to worry about the rest of the wide receivers for Seattle. This is a game that's likely to be over early. The ground game's going to dominate later. So if the passing game is going to get it done, they got to get it done early. I don't think I'm expecting a surprise, but
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm not psychotic as Seahawks are pissed right now. Titans are just being offered
Ass.
up as this week's offering in the sacrifice. Donald and crew get back on track, and the Titans will be winless at home as yeah, they are still ass, and Ridley and Callahan will be watching the suffering from home this week. As yeah, this game gonna be bad.
Yeah, I'm taking Seattle. No further comments needed. They're playing Tennessee. Tennessee, I don't think wins the game the rest of the year. Next up, Jacksonville at Arizona. Jacksonville did a surprise domination win over the Chargers last week. The Cardinals, well, they looked like the Cardinals against the 49ers last week. Um, Possibly getting Trey Benson back sooner rather than later. But Joel, what's the line here?
Line here definitely not in favor of the Cards as they are shuffling to Jaguars minus 2.5, buck 48, and over and under is 47.5. Jaguars, not surprisingly, the road favorites.
Yeah, Trey Benson still out for the Cardinals. Not a surprise that Jacksonville is a road favorite. For the Jaguars, Travis Etienne's been very, very good, but Bashal Tutin does get some work, so he could be in your lineup as well. Parker Washington has been the best wide receiver for this team all season long. No Brian Thomas once again, so he should be great. For the Cardinals, no Marvin Harrison Jr. once again, which means Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch are fantasy relevant, and Jacoby Brissett has been very good in every one of his starts for fantasy. So
Isn't DeMarcado even out?
yeah, DeMarcado's out. It should just be Bam Knight for the most part this week. He is at least an option. Jacksonville does have a solid defense. They're going to make this game one-dimensional, I think. But all those guys in that wide receiver, Trey McBride, two wide receivers, and Brissett and McBride are all very startable for the Cardinals. Jacksonville currently holding on to a playoff spot. Arizona currently not really close to a playoff spot. Who do you got?
Yeah, this one is a late game because of the time, not because it's good. As Cards missing two major pieces on their offense. Jags are so back after stomping the Port Chargers. I'm still McLad for McConkey. Oh, that was a rough game. And I think the Jaguars are embarrassing the Cardinals something they're used to by now. I'm locking the Jags in. Bing!
Yeah, this I'm taking the Jags as well, but if there's a game where Jacksonville could stub their toe, this feels like it. And I don't know why.
Because
But I'm
they're
taking
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. That's it. But Arizona, they've been really good with Jacoby Brissett on offense. I think they can make this game interesting, but I'm going to trust the team with the healthier lineup and the better players, and that's Jacksonville in this matchup.
And and now the game that no one has heard of before, because of course of a certain starting quarterback that has been talked about ad nauseum, ad infinitum, all week long.
Let's talk about this one very quickly because it's a steaming pile of crap. Cleveland at Las Vegas. What is the line?
Line is not well. Actually, is surprisingly the Raiders are minus 3.5 favorites at home. Oh my God, how? Minus a buck 92 and an over and under of 36.5. I'm surprised. And it's that flipping high for two win teams.
Yeah, for the Browns, it's Quidjon Judkins' end of list. You can go after Njoku and Fannin at the tight end position, like we've been saying for several weeks, but it's just Judkins. For the Raiders, Genty and Bowers, Trey Tucker in desperation, but the Cleveland defense is elite. I think this is a great matchup for the Cleveland defense. Um, you don't play the quarterbacks, you don't look at the wide receivers very much. This is just a turd of a game. Two bad teams, two bad coaches, two bad franchises. Who do you got?
Yeah, I sense a theme here. Sense a trend. Bad, and not the Michael Jackson song either. Raiders are the favorite. It's time for the internet to lose their minds because holy crap, Shador Sanders is starting. Cue the office. Everyone stay calm. Clip here, if we could. Stay calm, everyone. Holy crap, stay calm. As in all seriousness, the offense that we saw against the Cowboys should be sufficient to beat the Browns. They are that bad on offense. I think Sanders gets sacked a whole bunch, and the legend is even over before it begins. Do I have anything against Sanders? Not in the least. I'm just tired of hearing about him just non freaking stop. I'm picking the Raiders, but I would avoid this game if we didn't have to pick them. But we pick every single game. Got to
Yeah.
pick somebody. I'm holding my nose. I'm picking the Raiders.
Yeah, this is
Lord help
one of the
me.
times where not listening to traditional sports media is a benefit because I haven't heard to hear about them all week. I'm taking the Browns, not because I think Shador Sanders is going to be great, not because I think they're a really good team. I think when it comes down to it, the better defense is going to win because the defense is going to be what set up the offenses, set up the kicking game. And Geno Smith is leading the league in interceptions, very close to the top. Cleveland has one of the best defenses. Miles Garrett should be an absolute monster. And Cleveland shuts down the running game. So I don't expect Ashton Genty to really get going like you would want him to. I just don't see where the points come from for Vegas, and I think the turnovers will give short enough fields for Cleveland where even if Shadur Sanders sucks, they should get field goals out of it, even defensive touchdowns. And I think Cleveland wins a very ugly game because their defense is scoring points, not because the offense is going to do anything special.
It's not only just the radio. You literally have all the clickbait videos out there. Just I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it's like, please, enough about Sanders. My God, it's
Yeah, let's have him start a full game. Let's have him have the full week of practice and see how he looks, and then we can hype or tear down how you want. But anyways, let's move on to a game that at least should be entertaining, if not competitive. Philadelphia at Dallas.
and minus three, and for Eagles, not surprisingly, the road favorites +175 over and under a 47.5 because you might have heard the Eagles don't have the Cowboys don't have a defense.
Cowboys defense looked much better against the Raiders last week. It is the Raiders. But they got the running game shut down. They got some pieces back from injured reserve, and they looked better.
Hopefully, both wide receivers didn't go anywhere and miss curfew.
Well, I mean, they just went to dinner. It's not like they were out gambling, hitting the slots until they were late to after. I'm not worried about that. But with 5 players coming between trade and back from injuries last week, on the defensive side of the ball for the Cowboys, that defense looked better. So I'm not assuming they're going to be great. I am definitely assuming they're going to be better than we had seen prior to that. For Philadelphia, Saquon Barkley is still going to be in your lineup, even though he has not had a great season, and this Dallas defense looks like it's built to stop the run at this point. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert in contention in your receivers and tight end spots, respectively. And you can't bench Hurts, even though he is not a great quarterback. He is always a live, or he's always got the potential of a tush push touchdown or 3 in a game. So fantasy wise, he's always going to be pretty good. For Dallas, Philadelphia's had some games where their run defense hasn't been great. Javonte Williams, not the best start you could hope for this week, but he's going to be in most people's starting lineups because he's been too good not to play. Ferguson at tight end, he's been hit or miss, but he did get a touchdown last week. I think he's got to be in your lineup. He's been a top 5 tight end on the season. Pickens and Lamb and Dak, you don't bench him. It's a tough matchup, but they're going to have to score a lot of points. Philadelphia's defense last week, I sincerely believe this was between the lines, struggling in the elements being high wind. I think they got aided by the elements and going to Dallas in a dome where there's still going to be a lot of emotion for the Cowboys with Marshawn Nealon. That's not going to change much this season. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. It's going to be much more competitive than you would think. But, Joe, who do you got?
Even with all the Eagles' problems on offense flying, their defense is by far better than the Cowboys, even though you mentioned it looked good against the Raiders. Just about anybody does look good against the Raiders. Yay. Look for an under kind of game as Dallas is coming off of 2 Mondays night appearances. A very emotional one, this most recent one. Plus, you have the Eagles getting some ugly wins, very ugly wins. And I think they get another ugly one here. I would be surprised if them dim boys get a win here, but I think a solid defense can really humble America's team. And Monday we get another upset video from Skip Bayless that is coming. I'm picking the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles as well. I do think the defense, while I think it'll be improved, is still a little bit of a liability for Dallas. And as much as I said Philly's defense was aided by the elements last week, they're still a very solid unit. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than most people would expect, but I do expect Philadelphia to come through and win. Referee Aiden Hill, who left Thursday night's game, is believed to have avoided a major injury, and his Achilles is intact. Sources close to Hill tell the insiders. May miss some time, but a return to the season has not been ruled out. So that's good news for the ref that we were thinking might have torn his Achilles last night, but
That's
should
when
be on the
you
mend
you play
quick.
the game when even a referee is injured.
Yeah, it was a non-contact injury for a referee. That's bizarre, but hey, it happens. Next up, Atlanta at New Orleans. This
Yeah,
line should
yeah,
be very interesting with Kirk
yeah.
Cousins starting for the Falcons.
Yeah. Are you ready for the interesting line?
I'm gonna say Saints by 2.5.
Okay, are you sure you didn't cheat and look?
I'm just guessing. I think if it had been Michael Penix, it would have been the other way. But with Kirk Cousins and no Drake London,
Spot on,
all
spot
right,
on. Saints minus
I'm
two
getting
point
better.
five,
Woo!
minus $1.35 favorite, and over and under 40.5 because points have got to come from somewhere. God knows where that's going to be. So
Yeah, this is one where you might just want to hide your fantasy options. For the Falcons, it's really both running back.
Bijan pretty much
Bijan
that's
and
it.
Algier. I mean, you could probably play
Okay.
Algier in this one because they're going to have to run the ball a lot,
Algier
and
can
you're going to
catch because they're going to need somebody to fill in for Drake London.
that too. I mean, Bijan should be a monster. Algier, they're going to have to spell him. So I think both are very good
Kyle Pitts,
options.
it's going to be a Kyle Pitts game. I'm feeling it.
You
I'm
can't rely
feeling
on him, but he's been decent enough where okay, and this is the moment he needs to step up. Whether Darnell Mooney can step up and be in place of Drake London, I don't know. Probably not. Just a name to keep in mind. I don't think he played Kirk Cousins in this game. I am actually forced into playing Tyler Shuck in a dynasty league because of injuries and bye weeks and all that. Thank you, Washington, with Mariota and Daniels out, and the injury to C.J. Stroud. Gotta love that. Super flex, so I'm also playing Purdy, but whatever. For the Saints, Shuck feels like somebody you could play this week, and it's just weird because the Falcons defense has been highly inconsistent. They made Bryce Young look like a Hall of Famer last week. So it could be one of those like DFS dart throw kind of plays, but I think Shuck's actually in play. Crystal Lave, Juwan Johnson both in play. And then Kamara at the running back position, I think he's due for a bigger game. I don't think Atlanta shows up the way they have in times where they've been like when they beat the Bills, where they showed up really well. I don't think we get one of those games. I think they show up decently, but Saints have been better at home. The Falcons probably reeling from the injuries. Who do you got?
Yet another game I think it's safe to avoid if you don't have to pick any action here as horrid QBs, horrid offenses, no London, Captain Kirk. Oh my God. And I still have to hold my nose. And I'm picking Dolphins here. It's just because their running
Dolphins?
game is Dolphins.
I won't be offended by that when you're talking about Atlanta.
Well, I have to pick Falcons. Falcons, not Dolphins. I don't know. My brain was all of a sudden just on Dolphins and it went off to the left field like this game is probably going to go. But picking Falcons, Jedi Mind Trick. This is not the podcast you're looking for. Picking Falcons here just because their running game, just you have Algier, you've got Bijan, and you're looking at the other side, right? You're kind of going, it's a very hobbled Alvin Kamara who doesn't have a lot of backup and doesn't have a lot of depth. I mean, that's it. It's Kamara and flipping Olave, and unless they can get Taysom Hill out as a flipping receiver too. I mean, they traded away Rashid Shaheed, so he going with the Seahawks, but I don't know. This would not be a confidence pick by any stretch of the imagination, but have to pick somebody here, and I'm picking the Falcons, not the Dolphins. Picking the Falcons are on paper at least the better team.
I am also not picking the Dolphins, but I'm also not picking the Falcons. I'm taking the Saints in this one. I believe Tyler Shuck's going to show why he was a second round pick. I think Atlanta mentally will be wilting. I think that Raheem Morris on the hot seat is just going to keep getting hotter. I think the Saints have been a scrappy, tough to play against team. They've pulled off a couple wins. Nobody saw them beating Carolina. Nobody saw them winning either of their games they won this year. And I think Olave, Kamara, and Jawan Johnson might be enough on this to be the better offense. If they say, hey, Bijan is not beating us, and they can accomplish that, I don't know where the points come from for the Falcons, and I think they get that job done in New Orleans. I'm going to take the home team, and I'm going to take the Saints. This is
Still
again,
going to
if
be a
you,
very, very fugly game.
yeah, if you're putting any money in the NFL with picks or gambling, this is likely a game to avoid. Like Joel said, this one in Cleveland.
Prize picks. How many times during this game will you scream over under 7?
Good scream or bad scream? Probably under. Either
Okay,
way,
bad scream.
bad scream. I think I'm good for about 4 or 5. Happy scream, probably less than that.
Oh,
Anyways,
yeah.
moving on to Sunday night football in a big time game. Unfortunately for the Bucks, no Bucky Irving, no Chris Godwin, still a little
Yeah.
short-handed as they go across the country to play the LA Rams, one of the top teams in the NFL.
Somehow, I'm surprised at this spread. What do you think the spread's at, Ryan?
Hmm. I would say about 5.5 in favor of the Rams.
Pretty darn close. 6.5, just one off. 6.5 in the Rams, minus 310, over under of 49.5. Pretty good guess.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the Bucky Irving officially being ruled out may have pushed that extra point or so because yeah, this is a game where you expect the Rams to be very, very good. Matthew Stafford's been an MVP candidate. He's going to be in your lineups. Devontae Adams, Puka Nakua, and Kyron Williams all in the lineups as well. For the Bucks, Baker Mayfield has been good, even though he hasn't had all of his weapons. Emeka Egbuka or Egg Big
Big
Boo, he will also be in your lineups. And then you've got the dart throws of like Tez Johnson and Kate Otten that are options as well.
MVP. No, not you, Tess. Not you.
Yeah, he's been good. The Rams have a very good defense. They should put some pressure on the Bucks. The Bucks defense, after getting smacked around by the Bills last week, hopefully it was a wake-up call. Hopefully they can step up. The Rams are a home favorite for a reason. They look like one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl right now, but the Bucks are one of those scrappy hang-around teams. Who you got?
Yeah, I know the Bucks have already amazed in prime time, but that was with a fully healthy team when they went up against the Texans. And it wasn't really prime time. It was just like 7 p.m. It wasn't prime time. Prime time as the Bills just absolutely embarrassed the Bucks D last week. I mean, Bucks D has stopped. Do you want to restart them, abort, and try ignore? I mean, that was just bad, especially when Bowles was known as a defensive coach. And I just see that trend continuing as the Bucks just too banged up right now. You have West Coast to East Coast, legit real prime time, not on the cusp or on the edge of prime time, and we are solidly in the midseason slump. As I'm sitting, Baker in one league for Drake May, just because this matchup does not thrill me in the least. I just think it's going to be a long night for my Buccos. I'm sad to say that. I think the losing streak continues, and Rams got to Darnold. We saw 4 interceptions, pressured him all game long, and I think Baker gets a similar treatment. I mean, I think the Bucks can keep it scrappy, but I got to pick the Rams. It's a midseason slump continues. I'm sorry to say, it's not going to be Victory Monday.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Rams as well. I think even with Bucky and Chris Godwin, I would be leaning towards the Rams. They seem like one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl right now. Defense is unstoppable. It seems like their offense, while they were a little slower against Seattle, still good enough to get the job done. And they've been again Matthew Stafford arguably having the best season of his career. And I think it continues against the Tampa Bay defense is just beat up. I just don't think they have the horses offensively and the talent defensively to beat the Rams. Only time will tell. And we go to Monday Night Football. The 6-5 Carolina
Only
Panthers.
one game.
Yeah,
Only one game.
thankfully. Only the Carolina Panthers and the San Francisco 49ers. The Panthers 6-5, a surprising 6-5. The 49ers 7-4. Both teams squarely in playoff contention. The Niners right now holding on to a spot with the Carolina Panthers outside looking in.
What do you think the line is, Ryan?
I don't think Vegas is going to be respecting the Panthers, so I think it's going to be 6.5 in favor of San Francisco.
Pretty darn close.
I'm
Minus
getting
seven,
better.
minus seven,
-7?
-7 from the 49ers, minus
Okay.
375, over and under of 49.5.
I'll say this: if it's a level number like a -7, I'm never guessing that because it's almost always got that 0.5 on there, so they don't push. But I'll
It's,
take that.
it's always like 0.345, it's like, or 5.5, or,
Yeah,
it's never like just straight up 7.
yeah, because they don't want to push. They're like, hey, you either win or you lose. They can't lose by half point. For Carolina, Rico Dowdle has been a revelation. He is in your lineup, and Ted McMillan,
No
he's
doubt
been
about it.
fantastic. Yeah, those two guys you have to be playing at this point. Bryce Young is a very interesting quarterback option. San
Is
Francisco
Xavier
defense.
will get a dart throw?
he's a real dart throw. You would have to be like, oh, I've been relying on Jalen Waddle and Debo Samuel at the wide receiver, and both are on bye, and you've got someone injured for them to really go to Leggett. But he's a touchdown possibility on a decent team, and yeah, for the Niners, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, absolutely in your lineup. Brock Purdy, I think, is a very good quarterback play this week, especially if you get to that Monday Night Miracle and you need like 15 to 20 points. I think that's just going to be a really fun chase for you. I know I'm playing him in some places that I need to win.
You don't want to be the manager going, okay, I've got a shot to win this, and my opponent's playing CMC.
Yeah, CMC on Monday night's always entertaining. I have a league where I'm just dominant. I traded for CMC to put with Achan, Gibbs, Javante Williams, and
That
Jonathan Taylor. It's a dynasty league, so that's gonna be fun for a while. I'm really hoping I don't even like I've Kittle and McCaffrey. I'm hoping the game's already decided by then. Ricky Pearsall is also in contention for the wide receiver for the 49ers and Juwan Jennings as well. Carolina is undefeated when they win the coin toss and has lost every game when they lose the coin toss. So I'm going to ask for your pick, but keep in mind if the coin toss goes a certain way, it's been predetermined what happens.
Yeah, Panthers shocked the Falcons. It's just seemingly not hard to do this year, as but the 49ers are a whole different animal. And Panthers on the road get humbled, I think, after Young and that amazing week in last week against the Falcons. That you're still stunned when they ended up beating them in overtime because you thought the Falcons had all but won the game. And hopefully, a loss is the only bad thing that happens to the Panthers because, warning, the curse wheel has been spun and it's on the Panthers this week. So, begging the 49ers to keep rolling and winning somehow, defying those odds.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Niners as well. I think they are too talented. I think the Panthers lose the coin toss as well. I just think that continues. Yeah, the That's Good Sports Brandon Perna curse wheel did hit the Panthers this week, and it's been pretty good. If they don't lose the game, they'll lose somebody important at the very least. So hopefully, for their sake and everybody who's got Tet McMillan or Rico Dowdle, they just lose the game. That would be the best bet for everybody. The Panthers are still a year or two away from being a true contender. They're overachieving, and keep this in mind though. They will already know if a win puts them in first place above the Bucks because the Bucks play Sunday night, Monday night. They'll be either a half game. Sorry, they'll either be tied with the Bucks bye week already being completed, the Panthers going in week 14, or they'll be a game and a half back. So we'll know right before that. So, anyways, that's our picks. Not a lot of different picks, but we disagree on the turd games. Cleveland, Vegas, New Orleans, Atlanta. Those are the ones we disagree on. So, all right, let's go to final thoughts, Joel.
All right, I've got two final thoughts. The first one, and not as serious as my final thought from yesterday, is a little bit more non-political. As the first one just has to fall under. I can't believe this is a. I'm even saying this because I actually first heard this through when I was watching the Grossi Pernish show. That you have the whole thing with Stephen A. Smith and Drake May. Right? Did you hear about this?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I try not to acknowledge the
This
existence of
is
Stephen A. Smith, though.
I know, but this is just the fact that you have apparently Cam Newton was going after and criticizing Drake May, and then Stephen A. was getting on Drake May because he didn't know what show Cam Newton was on, and just the thing, the whole thing is absolutely moronic. I'm sorry, it is. As Jesse has says, Stephen A. has had himself a week because not only that, he is also apparently there's a sketchy gambling
Yeah,
app.
go pitch your rigged solitaire cash game that you get paid for, and everybody loses their money. I
Yeah,
don't know what show Cam Newton's on either because he's not important.
and he was getting into it with because he took over a slot from Michelle Beadle on Mad Dog Sports Radio, so they were getting into it. I mean, just a whole kind of just drama, and I'm just not going to go into it anymore, but I'm just bringing it up because you're just amazed. You're like, okay, this is what people talk about, and you're just glad it's football because if this was summer, that would be like, okay, we're going to talk about this for an entire hour. Okay, something that is sports because that's not sports when somebody's criticizing somebody for not knowing what show somebody is on. Is that dumb, Ryan?
Yeah, TV personalities having on-air, off-air beefs about anything.
Yeah.
That's just pathetic to me.
All right, now something that is sports germane, because this was actually the question of the day on Shine On Sports, and the question was: has the Buffalo Bills, getting back to what I said when we were talking about the last night's game, then I'll get more to the Bills and my final thoughts. Has the Buffalo Bills window of opportunity closing? And I think this is fool's gold, Ryan, because it already has closed. It closed when we remember we saw the meme with Stephon Diggs 3 years in a row watching another team hoisting the AFC trophy. Three flipping years in a row, Diggs was traded the very next year, and that is when the Buffalo Bills window of opportunity closed because the last year, the last playoffs, where were they beat by the Kansas City Chiefs? That would be in the divisional round.
Yeah.
The divisional round. They didn't even make it to the conference championship. So when somebody is talking window of opportunity, we're talking at the very least, like a Ravens getting to a championship game and then yakking. We're not talking about a team that gets barely to the divisional round and yaks in the divisional round because the Rossi skit joked, but yeah, Josh Allen needs an offensive line, especially after what we saw last night, and it still boggles my mind how that team did that to the Bucks. And you're going, how did they do that? And all of a sudden, you have a team that has a heartbeat of a defense in the Texans, and they absolutely just shut them out. Almost not quite shut them out, but they literally shut them down. Not shut them out, but shut them down. And I am just when they talk about window of opportunity, that means and that implies Super Bowl. Can we stop? It closed when you had that meme and when Stephon Diggs left the team. So I don't think we have any windows for the Bills anytime soon. And those are my two final thoughts. TV personalities having stupid feuds. And no, the Bills do not have any windows. Ryan.
I think and I'm taking this a different way. I don't think the Chiefs can win this year. I think they're too flawed. But as someone who's a Sharks fan, and they talked about the window of opportunity for the Sharks to make a run when they had Pavelski, Marlowe, Thornton, and all those guys that were legends, the window stayed open even when the team looked like they had taken a step back because you could always do something here and there. I think they're too beat up this year, but if they got a number one wide receiver, a true one, whether it's in the draft or free agency, I'm not even saying you got to go get like a Jamar Chase type, but let's say George Pickens decides he's going to hit the open market and Buffalo says that's the guy we want. That makes that team a lot better. They can go and get some players in the draft. The long term window, still wide open. You still got a lot of talent on the team. And anytime you've got the MVP Josh Allen on your roster, you're not dead in the water. Unfortunately, they're going to be running into Kansas City a lot, who seems to have their number in the playoffs. So long term, I think that window's still open. Short term, I don't think they got a shot this year. Just too flawed, too injured, and missing too many key components on that team. My final thoughts can be real nice and simple. We've got 3 weeks left in the fantasy football regular season before the playoffs. Trade deadlines, if they haven't happened yet, should be happening very soon. So do what you got to do to make your team as good as possible. If you're solidly in a playoffs position, start looking ahead towards your playoffs. See who's got those good matchups. Find that defense is going to be dominant when you need them to be dominant. Plan ahead. If you're on the outside looking in, but you're pretty close, keep fighting. You're not out of it till you're out of it. I know that a lot of people that they go 2-5 and like, up, season's over. You still have a chance. Keep fighting. That's my final thought. Anyways, that's our time. I have been Flying Ryan Gilchrist along with.
Tampa Motor Mouth, Joel Verlin.
And just so you know, that different opinion on the Buffalo Bills. Now we're going to have an on-air beef for the rest of the season because he said something I disagree with, and we now have to have an on-air beef because that's what personalities wish people who talk into microphones have to do nowadays. Also, Stephen A. Smith, go to hell with you and your rigged solitaire game. Can you just stop being a human being that I have to hear about and talk about and listen to? Thank you. Anyways, along with Joe.
Yes.
Uh, I don't like Stephen A. Smith. Anyways, I've been flying around and around Gokers along with.
Joel Verlin.
I don't know if we mentioned that or not. With that, mercifully, we go.